I love the holidays, but there's also a lot of stress associated with them. With the gifts, the decorations, the hosting, the parties, the traditions, the expectations, it's a lot. So if you're like me and you've ever found yourself saying, next year, I'm keeping it simple, this episode is your outline for how to do just that. Today, I'm joined by world-renowned organizing expert and best-selling author Shira Gill, whose work has been featured pretty much everywhere. Good Morning America, The New York Times, Goop, Oprah. Yeah, she's legit. Her philosophy is simple. Minimalism is not about deprivation. It's about having the perfect amount for you. And in this conversation, she's showing us how that mindset can completely change the way we experience the holidays. You'll hear why we keep buying things we don't need, how to handle unwanted gifts without the guilt, easy decor ideas that don't leave you with extra stuff to pack away, and how to host beautifully without spending 2 days cooking or cleaning up. So grab your peppermint tea or peppermint schnapps, whatevs, and let's make this the year you truly enjoy the holidays. Hello, my friend. You are in the right place. This is where smart and sassy women over 40 come to figure out all things midlife. We talk hormones, careers, relationships, and everything in between. I'm Jessica Long, health coach and fellow midlife woman on this wild ride with you. Stick around for honest conversations with experts, rebels, and wise women rewriting midlife on their own terms. Let's dive in. Today, we get to learn from the one and only Shira Gill how to have a lovely, festive holiday without overdoing it on gifts, decorations, meals, all the things. And I know I personally need this advice, so I'm excited for this conversation. Thanks so much for coming on, Shira.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait.
Well, good. I can't wait either. Okay. So you wrote a book called Minimalista, which I'm holding up for anybody who's watching. And I have to tell you, I have this on our coffee table in our front room right over here. Oh. And I'm laughing because we came back from a vacation a couple weeks ago and my husband said, oh my God, every time we come back from vacation, I look at this room and I'm like, we need to add stuff. And it's true. So we remodeled our house. We moved back in 4.5 years ago and we still don't have art on the walls. Like it's minimalist. So I'm like, but look, we have Minimalista on
You're
the
like,
table.
we one thing.
It makes sense. Well, first of all, there's one thing now.
That's
and
hysterical.
This is explaining what's going on here.
That is so funny. I rarely hear people who have that problem. It's almost always the opposite problem.
Well, it's just that one room.
Yeah.
Just that one room.
That's a good problem to have.
It's hard to commit.
Right. Yeah, yeah. I know.
I love that in this book, you describe minimalism not as the lack or absence of something, but having the perfect amount for you. And I really appreciate this definition because I do think this word gets a bad rap. It kind of has a negative connotation where people assume it means taking things away from them that bring them joy. But you challenge that and you say, no, actually keep all the things that bring you joy and let's challenge the excess. And I love that. And so I want to talk to you about, just before we even get started on the holiday stuff, the psychology behind the gathering of the things. Like, why do we do this? And then why is it so hard for us to let go once we know we have more than we want or even need?
Yeah, it's a real problem. It seems to be quite universal, at least in the United States, where we are both based. I think there's a lot of factors at play. I think a big one that I see in my work is just the pressure to consume from external forces, such as media, social media, our friends and neighbors. It's everywhere. And I think for anyone who is on social media or watches TV or movies, there are nonstop advertisements every second of every day telling us that we will be happier, more fulfilled, more attractive, more confident if we get this so-and-so thing. And I think the human brain craves dopamine and craves a quick fix. So it's much easier and more fun to kind of go along with that myth that we're going to get the one new fun thing and it's going to change everything, as opposed to the digging deeper. And I've worked with people for now almost 16 years, helping them declutter and kind of reckon with their stuff. And I think the theme I see again and again is distraction from the deeper stuff. So shopping is this Band-Aid that masks bigger emotional issues like loneliness or anxiety or depression or even boredom or restlessness. And I find even for myself as a minimalist, whenever I feel bored or restless, that is right when I reach for my phone or device and start browsing. And it's so deeply embedded that it is a way to solve our problems. So I think it's everywhere. It's ubiquitous. It's really nearly impossible to avoid the pressure. And there's a lot of things that we can do about it to start living a little more intentionally and being more thoughtful about what we buy and how we buy.
We're in midlife now. Haven't we learned yet that
Yeah.
buying the thing is not going to make us feel better? I mean, really, like we don't learn the lesson.
I don't think so. I'm still learning it. This is literally what I do for work, and I have to catch myself. My Substack that's going live tomorrow is about me facing my own packages by the front door and being like, what is going on here? And what do I need to solve for in this scenario? And I think really what it comes down to is human beings do not love sitting with discomfort. And if you have the desire to buy something and you don't buy it, you have to sit with discomfort. And I mean, it's the same, right, as like I'm an ice cream addict. And if I want to eat less ice cream for my health, I have to sit with the discomfort of not having the sweet treat that I really want. And so I think it's such an important life skill, one that I'm certainly a work in progress in this regard, but I'm working on all the time. I think when we cultivate that ability to feel discomfort and instead of immediately taking action to solve for it, just kind of breathing through it for even a minute or two, we can really drastically alter our habits and have healthier habits that have better rewards in the long term for us.
You are not just someone who helps people organize their homes. You realize this, right?
I do. Yes.
You're a life coach, therapist.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I did get certified actually as a life coach a few years into my work because I realized this really goes much deeper. It's never about the stuff. It's always about the psychological.
It's so true. And I didn't really think about that until I started reading your book and you mentioned that. And I'm like, oh, wow, there are deeper issues here. And just one little personal story. So I have 2 kids. I have a son who's 7 and he's essentially a hoarder. I think I might have even told you about him when we met at that event.
Yes.
And it's my husband and I are more on the minimalist side. And so we're constantly working with him. Like we buy him a shirt and he does not want to throw away the tag that was on the shirt.
Oh.
And he will not get rid of old clothes that he's grown out of. It's really hard. Yeah. And I think about where this comes from an evolutionary standpoint, and it makes sense. We actually find safety when we're surrounded by things, right, that protect us even physically. And now it's really more of like an emotional, mental kind of protection or idea of protection. So it makes sense that he has this. But my point is that this is innate and it can come from a very young age.
That's so interesting that you and your husband are so different too, that it really is like a nature versus nurture. And now my kids are both teenagers, but having been through most phases of childhood into adolescence, there does seem to be kind of an age of hoarding that happens younger that I can tell you, at least in my family, it did dissipate. But I was like, what have I done wrong? My kids are hoarding these stuffed animals with googly eyes made out of synthetic materials, and there's nothing I can do or say. And they did just kind of grow out of it on their own. And I find now, maybe in the teenage years, it's like everything is about individuating and connection with friends and so much less about the things they own. Although
that's so interesting.
Yeah. I mean, clearly it's a part of identity for teenagers, like the posters they put on the walls and all of that. But even I know we'll get into holidays, like they're having a hard time coming up with gifts that they want now because really all they want is to be with their friends, go to concerts. It's all about them being out in the world in a particular way.
Okay, so there's hope.
There's hope for you for sure.
I'm going to hang on to that for now. Okay, let's talk about this because I feel like the concept of excess really kind of gets out of hand around the holidays for so many of us. We have kids that want certain gifts. We have parties and events to go to where the alcohol and the food are flowing. So the excess from the standpoint of consumption on our part, there's traditions that we feel obligated to uphold, maybe that came down through our family. There's family members' expectations. There's societal expectations, which we talked about, that comparison game. The list goes on. So big question for you, but is there hope for those of us that really love the holidays and want to like revel in the holiday without going overboard?
Yeah. What if I said no?
Then I would
It's
just end
totally
the
hopeless.
interview.
Yeah, we're done. It's a wrap. Yes, absolutely. Like I am a person who loves all the holidays. I love celebrating. I love hosting. And I don't like stuff or clutter or massive consumption. So I have figured out a way to customize the holidays in a way that feels very authentic and aligned for me and does not rely on a lot of the typical behavior patterns we see around the holidays. And I think the first step is being willing to just take a step back and question maybe the traditions that you grew up with, or maybe the traditions you feel pressured to take part in as an adult. And just reevaluating and kind of picking as if you were picking from a menu of all the different options of how you can celebrate the holidays and starting to curate your own that do feel good.
I love that because at this stage in life, like we get to choose what's in
I
alignment with
know.
us. Like we
It's
don't
delightful.
actually have to be walking in someone else's footsteps all the time. Like we're actually the matriarch, so to speak, of our own little nuclear family. We get to decide what the traditions are that we're going to follow.
Exactly.
So I like
I
that.
find it very liberating. And I think I have gone against the grain probably to more of an extreme than most people are comfortable. But I think there's a lot of gray area between the traditional wild overconsumption and stress. And that's the real thing. There's only a problem if people feel a negative emotion. And I think what a lot of my clients tell me is, I love Christmas or I love Halloween or I love Hanukkah, but there's so much pressure. There's so much stuff. I feel exhausted. I feel run ragged. I feel stressed out. And so I think that's where there's really an issue for someone who just says, I have my decor and I have my traditions and I love it all. It's not overwhelming. Then we don't have a problem. So I think it's looking at which pieces of the holidays do you love and enjoy and really get positivity out of, or fulfillment or meaning or joy. And what are the pieces that feel more like a should? An example for me is holiday cards. I don't enjoy wrangling holiday cards and getting current addresses from everybody. And I've spent a lot of time recycling other people's holiday cards. So,
Okay, note to self, don't send Shira a holiday
I know.
card.
Nobody sends me cards anymore. It's very sad. But but I think even my clients, like I have so many clients who say, what do I do with all these holiday cards? I feel terrible. These are pictures of people I love, but they're just collecting dust. And I'm the one to kind of give them permission to recycle the holiday cards. So from that standpoint, I know that a lot of people it is a burden. It's a burden to create them, write them, print them, send them. And for those people that don't really enjoy it, there's no reason to. There's so many other ways of doing things.
Good point. I happen to love making Christmas cards, but I do feel the stress like,
There you
oh my
go.
gosh, I have to do it before Thanksgiving or I won't get them on time. So there is still some
Right.
of that story that I tell myself.
Yes.
But I want to talk about something you mentioned. So recycling the holiday cards. But what about if someone gives you a gift that you just don't like or don't want? It's not your taste. It's not your style. You don't want it in your house. How can you part with it without feeling guilty?
Well, it's an inside job. I can tell people it's not a problem. Say thank you and then immediately donate it. And people look at me like I'm an insane monster. And I think I have just decided for myself, I'm the gatekeeper of my home. And I really like having a minimal, easy to maintain space for me and my family. I see huge benefits to it. And so if somebody gives me something that I know I will not use, or nobody in my family has any purpose for, I know that by it sitting and collecting dust for the next 10 years is not doing me or the gift giver any good. Whereas if I donate it, either regift it or give it to somebody or drive it to my local charity shop, there will be a match for that thing that's a better match than for me. So that's how I have formulated it in my brain. And if somebody gives me something, like, it is out the door the same day if I don't want it.
Oh my God. I hope my husband listens to this episode because he's going to be like, more Shira. He's just like you. He's like, get rid of it.
That's so funny.
No emotion at all.
I mean, I'm not a very sentimental person about material things. I very deeply value my friendships and my family and my relationships, but I think it's the separation of I can love you, I can be full of gratitude that you thought of me and you bought something, and I don't need to be the guardian of this thing forevermore just because you gave it to me.
Okay.
I
I'm
know.
nodding along. It's like, I think I can
It's
get
hard.
there.
I believe in you. It's hard. It's really hard for people. And people always ask me, what if they come over and they ask where the thing is? I mean, are people doing this? Are they giving gifts and then going over and saying, like, show me my gift? I don't know. I feel like that would be a little weird.
Well, not in your house.
Yeah, no, not in my house. And I imagine for me, if they did, it would be awkward, but I would have to say it was so sweet of you and thoughtful. And we realized we just didn't have a use for it. And you know how I am. I'm so minimal. And so I found someone who loved it. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, well, first of all, tell the truth. I appreciate that.
we're telling the truth.
Yeah. And then, that might inspire the person to not give you gifts like
That's
that in
right.
the future, right? So maybe you're breaking that cycle a
Well,
little
and
bit,
that's
which is
the
also a
bigger
good
point.
thing.
Yes, I think that's the bigger point is that if you are really communicative about your values around gift giving and receiving, it really nips it in the bud. Like nobody buys me gifts anymore, and that's just how I like it. And if somebody wants to do something, say for my birthday, like I'll just say, I would love to go have dinner with you or grab lunch or go to a yoga class. That's so much more my speed. And so I think a lot of it is communicating in advance of the holiday or the birthday, so there isn't that awkward exchange.
And I agree, but that's going to fall on some deaf ears sometimes,
Yes.
like mom or dad or whoever.
Yes.
But there are plenty of us who love giving gifts, right? It gives us the warm fuzzies to give to someone.
Yeah.
So do you have advice for us for how we can give like thoughtful, meaningful gifts without going overboard when it comes to giving gifts, not just receiving?
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting because I know like gift giving is a love language. Like it's how many people show their love. I think you've got to know your audience and really think about the recipient because I guess I believe gift giving really should be for the recipient as much as it's lovely to think about somebody and buy something. If they don't want it, it's not really a great gift for them. So I think thinking about who the people are, asking them questions like, I'd love to get you something special. Is there anything you'd particularly appreciate this year or this season? Or just being, I guess, transparent about it. But also, I made a whole list of materialistic gifts that I love to give and get. And I think using your own personal skills or talents to help somebody, like for me, I'm not handy at all. I can't hang things. I can't fix things. If somebody gifted me an hour with a handy person, that would be the best gift I could ever get. And it doesn't add clutter to my life. It solves problems. Or I love consumable gifts. I do think food is a form of love, and giving somebody a home cooked meal, taking them out to eat, giving them a DoorDash gift card that they can use when they're stressed out and just don't have time to think about dinner. My friend Nadia just told me a bunch of her friends rallied around her and did a get it done day where they just went to her house and helped her take care of business. And what could be better than that? Somebody helped her declutter. Somebody helped her hang art. She was going through a particularly rough time. And I just think nobody needs another scented candle, but they do need help getting donations out the door or hanging art or patching walls. So there's so many things like that that I think you can give and it can feel generous and meaningful without adding more to someone's pile in their home or the landfill.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love these ideas. I'm taking notes. I'm like, yes. And really, to your point, it feels the best to give the gift when the gift is so warmly received. Like it's something that they want or need or just would never have gotten for themselves, but it makes their life easier, like the examples you're giving.
Like my husband, once he knew that I was really wanting to work out more and I was having a very hard time getting to a class. And for the holidays, he got me a starter pack for Soul Cycle and a starter pack for Core Power Yoga. And it felt so thoughtful. And it was something for some reason I had a block around investing in for myself, but it really got me into this new positive habit. And the one other thing I'll say is I love food or wine subscription boxes or coffee. If there's someone in your life that loves really good coffee or really good wine or really good cheese, there's an elevated food club for everyone. And there's that company Goldbelly that delivers food from anywhere in the country, like the New York bagel or the Chicago deep dish pizza. I mean, what could be a more joyful, personalized gift?
Oh, yeah. Do they do Magnolia cupcakes from New
Yes.
York?
Yes, they
Ooh.
do. I know.
Life
And
changing.
yeah, life-changing. Those are, to me, are like the best gifts and they're consumable. So then you're done and you don't have to say like, where am I going to put this new thing in my house?
And you don't have to answer the question, where did that go? It went in my belly.
Yeah, it was consumed.
Thank you very much.
Exactly.
Okay, let's talk about decorations for a second because I do love decorating my house for the holidays. And I was thinking about this as I was prepping this interview with you. I'm like, why do I love this so much? But there's like, I think just historically from my past, warm, fuzzy feelings around Christmas is what we celebrated. So I just loved that time of year. I like that it's cold outside, it's cozy inside. I love the tree, the lights, the decoration. It's just kind of the feeling all around you, really.
Yeah.
And so I like to surround myself with that feeling in the house. And I don't really go overboard with decoration. I definitely come from a line of people who did. So I'm aware of that. And I know that that's common. And again, it creates some stress around the holiday when you're pulling out the massive bin and you're putting the things up. And every year you're thinking, I got to get rid of some of these. And every year you don't. So in that sense, it can add to some of the stress. But do you have any recommendations for those of us that do love the decorations around us, but we don't want to go overboard?
Yeah, I think like setting a physical boundary is always great. And based on the storage space you have available in your home, looking at like what do we actually use? I mean, that is the best time to declutter, I think, is like, the next Christmas or holiday season when you are decorating. You can see like, what am I using and reaching for and what is just sitting in a dusty bin? And perfect opportunity to get those unused things out the door before you pack them all up again. I live in a 120-year-old craftsman bungalow and we have zero storage space. And so I have one holiday bin and I love the holidays. I love creating like the mood and the vibe. But because we have such a lack of storage, I've had to really think about how do you do that with less? And so what's been really helpful for me is thinking about engaging the senses. So like candlelight to me is perfect holiday vibes, and having votive candles or tea lights or twinkly lights, lovely instant holiday vibe. And then bringing the outdoor in. So I go to the San Francisco flower market and I'll get beautiful eucalyptus or bay or greenery to put everywhere, which just feels very festive, but it's also compostable and biodegradable, and you don't have to pack it up when it's done, but it brings scent and nature into your home and feels a little different than the typical day. We have a white felt garland that we put up for every single holiday, which is hilarious. And I think it just says like, yay, or something. That's basically like good for birthdays, good for holidays, it's just like we're celebrating. So instead of having to customize for every single holiday all through the year, I basically just have a party kit that is very neutral but feels fun. And then we're a big food family. So having warm apple cider on the stove, your whole house smells amazing. And have a Hanukkah party every year, and my husband makes latkes and the whole house smells like oil and grease, which is not ideal, but it is like the smell of the holidays for us. And so I think it's just thinking about what are the ways that I create those warm, cozy holiday traditions without needing to run out and buy more and more stuff. And I think for most people, they probably already own as much as they need to make things feel festive. I think many of my clients who celebrate Christmas have literally dozens of bins and boxes filled with ornaments and wreaths and lights. And it's become less joyful and festive and more of a source of deep stress and consternation. And so I think only you know how it feels. Like, it sounds like for you, it really does feel kind of easy and joyful. And that's what we're all wanting. So I think if it tips towards stressful, then maybe I've got a volume problem and I could trim a little.
There's an imbalance somewhere. Yes.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I love your tip about getting fresh greens.
It's
That's
huge.
so smart.
I think because I hang out with a lot of stylists and designers, and it's always the number one thing that transforms a home is having fresh florals, greenery, and it's a very affordable indulgence for the holidays.
Well, and to your point, engaging the senses because it smells like the
Yeah.
holidays are winter and kind of what
Yeah.
we're used to smelling outside at that time. So
Exactly.
that's great. I'm going to do that.
Oh, goody.
You said you hang out with a lot of stylists. Do you have any like very simple stylist tips you could share with us that make things look good and intentional and like a professional did it?
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of styling, there's always the rule of odd numbers. So group things in 3s or 5s. Don't have everything be symmetrical. Pairing objects of differing heights, so small, medium, and large, is a very simple hack. And then one of the things I've noticed, which is great from a sustainability angle too, is trying to invest in natural materials versus synthetic. So instead of plastic or acrylic, like wreath or wood or, those old-fashioned popcorn garlands or cranberries. So lovely, so fun to do with the kids, and again, brings the outdoor in. And really, less is more. I mean, what most stylists and designers are hiring me for is to get rid of all the clutter so they can elevate with a few small, simple details. So I think less is more goes a long way for holiday decor.
Very true. And some of us with the 3 bins are going to have to do a little work.
A little editing. I mean, my key to a good party is good lighting, good music, good food. And there's not a ton of decor. If I'm hosting a party, I'll buy fresh flowers and light candles. And then it's like instant mood set.
Yeah, totally. And that with the music, again, engaging
Yeah,
the senses.
so easy.
Because I was going to ask about meals. There are lots of holiday meals that go on. Some of them can feel overwhelming, very big. You're hosting a lot of people or people with different dietary restrictions or people with opinions.
Yes.
And I like to your point, I like to make it look festive. So look different too. I mean, I think that's a lot of what it is. It's just stepping outside the norm. So I don't want people to feel like they're just walking into my house on any day, that they're walking in for this particular holiday meal.
Yeah.
So any tips for us for how to decorate or plan for that meal, whether it's from the decor or the food perspective, without, I don't know, falling prey to feeling like we have to please everyone who's coming.
Right. Yeah, I think it's, again, being intentional about what are the pieces you love and enjoy, like from a meal planning standpoint. Say maybe it's like, I love making the turkey for Thanksgiving, but I hate making all the sides and it's overwhelming. So I'm going to do that one piece and allow everyone else to show up with one thing. I don't do a lot of cooking, so everyone in my life will laugh that you're even asking me this question, but I do a lot of hosting, and I love hosting parties, and I love food, but I'm really not shy about going to our local market and getting paired foods or dips or spreads or making like a cheese plate, a charcuterie plate, a crudité platter, and just doing bountiful snacks so that I don't have to do any cooking. People seem to really enjoy it.
People love snacks. Like,
people love snacks.
Don't at a party, like I don't necessarily want to come over and sit and eat a heavy meal. So
right. So, and
works.
because I have a small house and I love entertaining, I have to really figure out how to do it without everyone needing a plate and a fork and a knife and a table setting. And so I think the best party I ever had, my brother is a chef, and he covered our dining room table with butcher paper and did a grazing snack board all across the table. And we just put out cocktail napkins. And so people were literally just grabbing fruit and nuts and olives and cheeses. And it was so beautiful and festive. There was zero cooking involved. And it still packed a big punch. So it's thinking about, like, if you love cooking, what are the things you want to cook? And then supplementing and not being shy about I'm going to buy a few things or ask a few friends to bring and with regard to people having opinions, I mean, if you're hosting a party, people can keep their opinions to themselves as far as I'm concerned.
Or just not come. How about that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I come from a very judgy family, but I think I've learned to just, I'm staying in my own lane. I'm doing it how I want to do it. And people are going to think whatever they want to think.
Fantastic. And I'm feeling some of these midlife themes bubbling up here, which is like
Right?
you get to do what feels right for you. You get to stop people pleasing.
Yes.
And thinking outside the box a little bit. Because again, the traditions come into play around the holidays and we feel stuck or like we have to serve the same thing we've served every year or that mom used to serve.
Yeah.
And that's not the case. You're in charge now. So if you want it to be snacks for dinner on Hanukkah or Christmas, then that's what it's going to be.
Exactly. It's so liberating.
It's so liberating.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're in the beginning of December. What can we do from a mindset and expectation standpoint right now to set ourselves up for success for the rest of the season?
Yeah. So, what I like to do preemptively is decide on purpose with my family. I have 2 teenage daughters and a husband, and we just sit down for 10 minutes and I say to everyone, what is the most important to you this holiday season? What's one thing that's going to feel the most meaningful or the most special? And I'm often really surprised at everyone's answers. Like, we always host one party every year, and it is a gift-free party. It's a Hanukkah party. It's like a latke party, and people come and they eat, and everyone brings a drink, so it's very easy. And last year, my youngest daughter was just like, can I invite 2 friends to the Hanukkah party? That was her big holiday wish. And I was like, granted, not a problem. And I love travel. So this year we're going to Morocco over the holidays. That's a big deal. But I thought about the holidays and traditions. And I now have an older daughter who's only going to be with us for another 2 years before college. And so I want a really meaningful, special family trip. And we'll do that in lieu of gifts. But yeah, I think just deciding before you get into the ruckus of the holidays and that manic energy that seems to happen inevitably is just deciding and even writing down, here's what is important to me this year. Here's what's going to feel the most meaningful, fulfilling. It typically doesn't have to do with gifts when you ask it that way, right? I mean, I think all of the winter holidays have become so maniacal about consumerism, and it's not what any of these holidays were intended to be about. None of them were intended to be a celebration of wealth or consumerism. Quite the opposite of like living your values or connecting with friends or family or feeling gratitude. So I think it's really just asking those questions ahead of time and kind of mapping out, what do we as a family want to do this year? What do we not want to do or partake in? We typically host one party and attend one party and keep things really simple. And I think that's not a traditional way to approach the holidays, but it's worked really well.
Does that mean you're getting more party invites and you're turning them down because you only go to one?
Well, listen, we do love a good party, but what we've found is most people are with their families for the holidays. And there's a handful of parties that happen in advance of the holiday season that we go to. But that double week of the Christmas week and the New Year's week, what we have found is it can be a very lonely time, actually, because most people are out of town or booked or have plans. And so I think it's not that we're batting away invitations. It's actually the opposite, that we preemptively are like, well, we're going to host one party and we're going to go to one party and then we're going to get out of town. And I always found the holidays somewhat lonely as a kid because I was raised an only child and all of my family was on the East Coast and we were on the West Coast. So I think some of that is just trying to reclaim for myself. This can look however I want it to look now that I'm an adult.
This is reminding me of a conversation I just had with a woman who wrote a book called How to Have a Happy Birthday. And her whole point is ask yourself, what do you want your birthday to feel like?
Yeah.
What do you want to do? And then you are in charge and make decisions. And to your point, to her point, I think we just don't often pause and tune in and ask, what do I want? We just are constantly on the hamster wheel, especially when it comes to traditions like this.
Yeah.
And permission to step off take a
Totally.
moment and actually check in and decide, like, what do I want my holiday to look like? I love that advice. So one more question for you. What is one thing that you just refuse to stress about anymore when it comes to the holidays?
Gifts. I just don't stress about gifts, giving or receiving. I mean, and I don't do a lot of receiving.
Well, not
But-
anymore. And anybody who
No.
listens to this is like, don't give her a gift.
no one's buying me a gift. But no, I think I used to feel a lot of pressure around, even though I try to live really minimally and sustainably, there was this pressure of like, if you don't give people gifts, it's rude or it might hurt their feelings. And I think I've been able to get to the point where, and probably this is a midlife thing of just feeling more settled and confident in myself and my own values, is the people in my life, my best friends and family members know that's not really how I show love. And I'm not the best gift giver. It's not my zone of genius because it's really not what I value. And so I think I've really replaced that with, like, for our friends, we throw this great party and we provide food and wine and fun times for all, but there's no gifting. Like, nobody brings a gift, nobody gets a gift. And even with my immediate family, we give our kids a handful of gifts, but me and my husband don't give each other gifts anymore because we just realized we buy ourselves what we want and we don't need it, you
Well,
know?
except for the gift that he gave you, though, which you weren't
know.
buying for yourself. So there's
That was
still
really
like
nice.
an argument for a little bit of gift giving, right?
Good point. Good point. I know that was like 10 years ago, but that was a good one. That was a good one. And
Because
it did
I think it
feel
stuck
good.
with you. Didn't you tell me you still go to Core Power Yoga?
I do.
So that was a good gift.
It was an epic
That was
gift.
a damn good gift.
So maybe it's
Okay, every 10 years,
I
you and your
reframe.
husband can exchange gifts.
That's right, but I don't know what to get him. But I mean, I think
But
experiential.
you don't stress about it.
I don't. No, I don't stress about getting people gifts. And I feel like I show love in a million other ways, and people do feel appreciated and tended to in other ways. And I think with me and my husband, what we do for the holidays is we think about quality time. And so last Thanksgiving, we took the kids to Italy and had this unbelievable Thanksgiving. And this year I've mentioned we're going to Morocco. And so I think it's trying to make the holidays more about meaning and connection and dismissing the pressure to make it about gifts.
And that's the bottom line right there. Thank you so much for coming on today. I've taken a lot of notes, and I know our listeners have too. Where can everybody find you and connect with you?
Oh, thanks. This was a delight. So my website is just my name, shiragill.com. And then I have a free Substack called The Life Edit.
I love your Substack. So
oh,
good.
thanks. Yeah, I love writing my Substack, and I interview other people who are living minimally or inspiring in some way and try to make it really actionable. And then I have 3 books. Minimalista, Organized Living, and Lifestyled are my 3 books, and they are all available anywhere you like to buy your books.
Find someone who has donated them to like a little library in your neighborhood and go get
That's
it there.
right. Yes. Or support your local bookshop because they are really struggling. So yeah, I always encourage people, like, go to your local bookstore and order your books.
Thank you so much for coming on. Such a fun conversation today.
Thank you.
I am super pumped to do the holidays my way after that chat with Shira. Aren't you? All right, here are a few key takeaways I hope you'll carry into this holiday season. Number 1, decide what you want your holiday to look like in advance. And remember, you don't have to prove your love or worth through gifts or elaborate hosting. Focus on what truly matters to you. Number 2, be the gatekeeper of your home. I love this one. Say thank you, then let go of what doesn't serve you. No guilt required. It doesn't matter who gave you the gift. Number 3, set the vibe, not the volume. Candlelight, fresh greens, great music, and good company beat the chaos every time. If this episode gave you some ideas or maybe even just a sigh of relief, I'd love for you to follow the show so you never miss an episode, and share it with a friend who might also be craving a calmer, simpler holiday this year. Because when we simplify, that's when we make space for what truly matters: joy, connection, and maybe a hot toddy. Thanks so much for listening, my friend. I'll see you next week.